Be sure to go check out our new magazine that we just released. It's going to be bi-monthly issues at www.mastermindcomics.net, and we're also going to have different distributors as well for them as well. Okay, so the Tower of Rebirth. There are too many coincidences that are leading up to one entity, and I am so convinced that these two are the same. So let's go into the history a little bit of the Tower of Rebirth. To sum it up in a nutshell, a building to seal the unclean past. And anyone that goes down there to investigate what the hell's going on in the deepest, darkest roots of that area never returns. Imagine that. So there was a supreme king, Berserk, very similar dreams and aspirations like Griffith. Well, he wasn't a rapist, at least what we know so far.
Jesus Christ.
He was a king and emperor over all of the nations and everything. He ruled over them, so he had his kingdom. Now, he did whatever he needed to do to beat his enemies. Sounds familiar, right?
For they have no dreams.
But there was no record of his origins and where he came from and where and how he arrived. And he was able to subjugate again nations on nations under his rule. So question, there's got to be a connection between that entity and Skull Knight, right? So Skull Knight and Lady Flora, connection between the Cherry Lady Priestess, and Flora was very fond of both of them. Now, why is that? The Cherry Lady Priestess is also sealed in this tomb area. I think she's still alive, but maybe there's a catch to it. Why they keep her sealed? I don't know. There's too many things that don't add up just yet, but I think she's still semi-alive, but she's just kind of sealed away and, you know, they do some kind of jutsu and stuff like that. Anyway, you get the point. Now I'm going to go on a limb and say Berserk is Skull Knight, but in human form. Now the reason that leads me to say that, one, Berserk was very foolish as far as how he was treating his people and only took care of himself and his kingdom in the sense of he was taxing heavy on the people. He was taxing heavy as he lived in glory and luxury. Now God was so upset with this man. He was like, man, I can't believe this dude's doing like this to the people, taxing them so hard. Sounds familiar. Okay, you know, taxing the people so badly. He was like, you know, I need to do something, but I can't step in. You know, that would, you know, break the rules of me being a god. So let me just send out my angels. Wink, wink. The story says he sent 5 angels. I just can't believe that it was 5 angels. It has to be the 5 god hands that were summoned. Now, stay with me on this one because listen, now keep in mind the 5 god hands aren't gods. If you don't believe me, see chapter 89. So you could call them angels, wink, wink. If they were so-called gods, they would be able to determine the outcome already or know what the outcome is or be able to see the future. But we'll save that for another video. Now, since the 5 angels, aka god hands, which I think maybe Flora summoned them, maybe. You know, that's a stretch that she summoned. And basically sacrificed everything, everybody and everything. Which was pretty obvious because you could see the sacrifice marks on the dead bodies. Now, second reason that it has to be Skull Knight is Jeffrey and his dad Vid were granted many audiences in the presence of your majesty. Skull Knight or Skull King. Now this leads me to believe, okay, one, he's a king and it's clear. So if he was a king or an emperor, that would make sense that people were always requesting his audience or his presence, right? Now point 2, Skull Knight makes riddles and hints of causality to Guts, meaning he knows exactly what Guts is experiencing and knows what he's going through and what he's going to have to face, basically. Point number 3, Guts got to witness the eclipse himself, but also got to witness a previous eclipse, which makes me believe that this particular eclipse may have been the one that Skull Knight was involved and the one that led to underground Tower of Rebirth. But Skull Knight said something very important to Guts after he had witnessed the previous eclipse from the past while that Berserker armor was activated. And Skull Knight said to Guts, what you bore witness to was the end of a foolish king and the beginning of a dead man stalking the endless night. Now ask yourself, who could he be referring to? I have to believe he's referring to himself. Man is a dead man walking the endless night, and that's exactly what Skull Knight does. Did I mention he is collecting all of these baylets, utilizing it with his sword of actuation? Now don't tell me that's a coincidence. Last thing is that, and I'm going on a whim on this one, Skull Knight made a statement to Flora. I am a portent of doom, the remnants of a grudge. My aim is ever singular. I have not the heart to bathe in lambency of my mortal days. This man was mortal in one point of time of his life, or was he? So that leads me to believe that Skull Knight is the Skull King, Berserk. Now, I could be flat wrong, but I got to say, man, there's too many coincidences that I think they're the same person, just different timelines. I mean, it is him though, right? Let me know if you agree with me or disagree. We could talk about this in the comments below. If you're looking for some of the most amazing content, Mastermind Comics in the building can get you what you need. Be sure to like, subscribe for more content from us. Also, go ahead and watch Why Activate the Baylet while you're on this channel. You know you want to.
Lost and alone in a world that's not your own. You still have perspective in a world that feels